Cheating doesn't always come with lipstick on the collar. Sometimes it hides in everyday phrases. These 8 lines sound normal, harmless, even loving. But when a wife is cheating, they're cover-ups, not conversation. Before we break these phrases down, hit that subscribe button and comment where you're watching from. If you've heard even one of these recently, this list might hit too close to home. Listen, I've been studying relationship patterns and deception for years, and what I'm about to share isn't just speculation. These phrases have become so common among unfaithful partners that they're practically a script. The scary part? They sound completely reasonable on the surface. That's exactly what makes them so effective. Most men miss these warning signs because we want to believe our wives are being honest with us. We hear these phrases and think we're having normal conversations about relationship issues. But when infidelity is involved, these innocent-sounding statements become weapons of mass deception. What makes these phrases particularly dangerous is how they exploit your trust and love. They're designed to make you question your own instincts while giving her the emotional space she needs to continue betraying you. Each phrase serves a specific psychological purpose in maintaining her secret while keeping you in the dark. The psychology behind these phrases is fascinating and disturbing. They work by creating cognitive dissonance, the uncomfortable feeling you get when your observations don't match what you're being told. Instead of trusting your instincts, you start doubting yourself because the alternative, that your wife is systematically lying to you, is too painful to accept. Understanding these phrases isn't about becoming paranoid or suspicious of every woman you meet. It's about recognizing patterns of deceptive communication so you can protect yourself from people who would take advantage of your trust and commitment. 1. You're just being paranoid. This isn't comfort, it's deflection. A cheating wife will often gaslight you when you're getting too close to the truth. When you express genuine concerns about changes in her behavior, and she immediately labels you as paranoid, she's not addressing your concerns. She's attacking your credibility. This is classic gaslighting, designed to make you doubt your own perceptions and observations. The word paranoid is particularly effective because it suggests mental instability. Nobody wants to be seen as paranoid, so most men will back down when labeled this way. She knows this, and she's counting on your desire to seem reasonable and trusting. Watch for a cold tone when she says this, eye rolls, immediate shutdown of the conversation, or treating your concerns like they're completely irrational. Pay attention to her body language. Someone who's genuinely trying to reassure you will be warm and understanding, not dismissive and cold. A faithful wife who notices you're feeling insecure will ask questions, try to understand why you're concerned, and work to address those feelings. A cheating wife will make you feel crazy for having them in the first place. The timing of this phrase is crucial. If she uses it immediately when you bring up specific concerns, like why she's been distant, why she's always on her phone, or why her schedule has suddenly changed, that's a red flag. She's trying to shut down the conversation before you can connect the dots. What makes this phrase particularly insidious is how it weaponizes your desire to be a good husband. Most men want to be trusting, understanding partners who don't make their wives feel like they're under investigation. She knows this about you and uses it against you. The paranoid label also creates a false binary. Either you're a trusting husband or you're a paranoid control freak. There's no room in this framework for reasonable concerns or legitimate questions about suspicious behavior. It forces you to choose between your instincts and your identity as a good partner. Pay attention to how quickly she escalates to calling you paranoid. Does she try to understand your concerns first, or does she immediately jump to labeling your feelings as irrational? The speed of her defensive response often correlates with how much she has to hide. 2. I need to find myself again. This sounds spiritual and self-aware, but it often means I already found someone else. It's emotional distance disguised as personal growth. When a woman suddenly decides she needs to find herself, after years of being content in the relationship, it's rarely about genuine self-discovery. More often, it's about creating psychological distance so she can justify her emotional or physical involvement with someone else. This phrase is particularly insidious because it sounds so positive and healthy. Who could argue with someone wanting personal growth? But real personal development doesn't typically require abandoning your closest relationships or pushing away your partner. Red flag: sudden solo trips she doesn't want you involved in, new routines that exclude you, keeping you out of her plans, or resistance to including you in her journey of self-discovery. Someone genuinely focused on personal growth usually wants their partner's support and involvement. The phrase often comes with elaborate explanations about feeling lost or unfulfilled that somehow require your relationship to take a back seat. Meanwhile, she's often finding fulfillment through her connection with someone new. Pay attention to what this finding herself actually looks like in practice. Is she taking up new hobbies, going to therapy, reading self-help books? Or is she just spending more time away from home with mysterious new activities she won't discuss? Real self-improvement is usually transparent and includes your partner. Fake self-improvement is secretive and excludes you while she works on herself with someone else's help. Another telling sign is how this self-discovery phase conveniently coincides with other changes in her behavior. Did she suddenly need to find herself right around the time she started a new job, joined a new gym, or began spending time with new people? The timing is rarely coincidental. Watch for the language she uses when describing this journey. Does she talk about specific goals, books she's reading, or concrete steps she's taking? Or is it all vague talk about needing space and figuring things out? Genuine personal growth is usually accompanied by specific actions and milestones. The cruelest aspect of this phrase is how it makes you feel selfish for wanting to be included in your wife's life. You start questioning whether you're being too needy or codependent for wanting to share in her personal growth journey. This self-doubt is exactly what she needs to continue her deception without interference. 3. It's not like we're 18 anymore. This one hits in the bedroom. When she's checked out physically but won't admit it, she blames time instead of truth. This phrase is designed to normalize a dramatic decrease in intimacy by attributing it to natural aging and relationship evolution. But healthy couples maintain physical connection regardless of age. When someone suddenly uses age as an excuse for complete disengagement, something else is usually going on. Clue: this excuse often shows up right after you ask why things feel different between you. Instead of addressing the real reasons for the change, she deflects to something you can't control: the passage of time. The implication is that you're being unrealistic or immature for expecting physical intimacy. It makes you feel shallow for wanting connection with your own wife. This is manipulation designed to make you stop asking for what you need. Pay attention to whether this decrease in intimacy corresponds with other changes in her behavior. Is she less affectionate overall? Does she seem distracted during the few intimate moments you do share? Has she suddenly become more concerned with her appearance when going out without you? A woman who's genuinely experiencing changes in her physical desires will typically want to discuss it and work together to maintain connection. Someone who's investing that energy elsewhere will use age as a convenient excuse to avoid the conversation entirely. The cruelest part of this phrase is how it makes you feel guilty for having normal human needs for connection and intimacy with your partner. It's gaslighting disguised as wisdom about relationships. 4. He's just a friend, start being controlling. Classic and dangerous. If she's defending him this hard, it's not just friendship anymore. When a woman has to repeatedly defend a male relationship as just friendship, and especially when she labels your concerns as controlling, that's a massive red flag. Truly platonic friendships don't require constant defense or justification. The word controlling is weaponized here to make you feel bad for having reasonable boundaries. No healthy relationship includes one partner having intimate emotional connections with someone else, especially connections that require secrecy or defensive explanations. Watch for hiding her phone when he texts, sudden changes in how she dresses when seeing friends, late-night texting sessions, inside jokes you're not part of, or getting defensive when you ask simple questions about their friendship. Most emotional affairs begin exactly this way, as just friendships that gradually become more important than the primary relationship. By the time physical boundaries are crossed, the emotional betrayal has been happening for months. Pay attention to how much mental and emotional energy she invests in this friendship. Is she thinking about him when she's with you? Does she light up when he texts in ways she doesn't light up for you anymore? Does she compare you to him, or bring him up in conversations where he's not relevant? The calling you controlling part is particularly manipulative because it turns your legitimate concerns into character flaws. It makes you the problem for noticing inappropriate behavior instead of addressing the inappropriate behavior itself. 5. You're overthinking it, a way to make you question your own gut. If you bring up real concerns and she says this, she wants you to shut up and stop digging. This phrase is designed to make you doubt your own perceptions and observations. When you notice changes in her behavior, inconsistencies in her stories, or just feel like something is off, and she immediately tells you you're overthinking, she's trying to shut down your natural instincts. Remember, intuition isn't overthinking, it's survival. Your subconscious mind processes thousands of microsignals that your conscious mind doesn't fully register. When something feels wrong, there's usually a reason. The overthinking label is particularly effective because most people don't want to be seen as anxious, paranoid, or obsessive. We want to be the cool, trusting, secure partner. She's counting on this desire to make you ignore obvious warning signs. A partner who genuinely cares about your feelings doesn't dismiss them as overthinking. Even if your concerns turn out to be unfounded, a loving spouse will take the time to understand why you're feeling insecure and work to address those feelings. Someone who's hiding something wants you to stop thinking clearly about what you're observing. They need you confused, self-doubting, and focused on your own supposed flaws rather than their actual deception. Pay attention to when she uses this phrase. Is it when you ask about specific behavior changes? When you notice inconsistencies in her schedule? When you point out that she seems different lately? The timing tells you what she's most worried about you discovering. 6. I don't feel like talking right now. Silence becomes her shield. Cheating wives often pull away emotionally before you discover the truth. When someone is maintaining a secret relationship, normal communication with their partner becomes dangerous territory. Every conversation risks revealing something they're trying to hide. As a result, they often withdraw emotionally and avoid deep or meaningful discussions. This phrase isn't about being tired or stressed. It's about avoiding the intimacy that could expose her deception. Communication is the foundation of any relationship, and when someone consistently refuses to engage, they're usually protecting something. Red flag. Long periods of emotional coldness followed by random moments of kindness. A cycle driven by guilt. She pulls away to avoid discovery, then feels bad about how she's treating you, then overcompensates briefly before pulling away again. Pay attention to what topics she particularly doesn't want to discuss. Is it her day, her feelings, your relationship, the future, or specific people in her life? The subjects she avoids often point to what she's hiding. Someone who's genuinely going through a difficult time will usually explain what's bothering them, even if they don't want to discuss it extensively. Someone who's hiding infidelity will shut down communication entirely to avoid the risk of exposure. The emotional withdrawal often happens gradually, so you might not notice it at first, but if you look back over recent weeks or months, you'll probably notice a pattern of decreased intimacy, fewer meaningful conversations, and more surface-level interactions. 7. I deserve to be happy too. That's not a lie, but the context often is. She's justifying something she knows would destroy you. This phrase sounds reasonable on its surface. Everyone deserves happiness. But when it comes up in the context of relationship problems, or when you're expressing concerns about her behavior, it's often a justification for betrayal. Translation: I already crossed the line, and now I'm blaming you for it. The implication is that your relationship is preventing her happiness, and therefore she's justified in seeking it elsewhere. It's a way of rewriting the narrative so that her betrayal becomes your fault for not making her happy enough. This phrase often appears when she's already emotionally or physically involved with someone else and is feeling guilty about it. Instead of addressing the guilt by ending the affair, she uses it to justify continuing by blaming you for her unhappiness. Pay attention to when this comes up. Is it during arguments about her behavior? When you ask about changes in your relationship? When you express concerns about her new friendships? The context reveals what she's really justifying. Someone who's genuinely unhappy in their relationship will work to fix the problems or honestly discuss ending it. Someone who's using unhappiness to justify cheating will keep the relationship going while pursuing other options. The cruelest part is how it makes you feel responsible for her choices. If she's unhappy, you should work together to fix it. Her happiness isn't your sole responsibility, and her choices are never your fault. 8. You're always accusing me of something. This flips the blame. She's not hurt, she's dodging. The louder she plays victim, the closer you are to the truth. When someone consistently deflects legitimate questions by claiming they're being accused, they're avoiding accountability. This phrase is designed to make you feel guilty for asking reasonable questions about changes in behavior or inconsistencies in stories. Clue: sudden anger when you bring up concerns, shutting down questions before you can finish asking them, or reverse accusations like, "Are you cheating?" to deflect attention from her behavior. The victim playing is strategic. By positioning herself as the wronged party, she shifts the focus from her suspicious behavior to your supposedly unfair treatment of her. It makes you the bad guy for noticing red flags. Pay attention to whether your questions are actually accusations or just normal relationship check-ins. Are you asking, "Why have you been so distant lately?" Or are you saying, "I know you're cheating"? If you're asking reasonable questions and she's responding like you're making accusations, that's telling. Someone with nothing to hide welcomes questions and transparency. They understand that trust requires openness, and they're willing to provide reassurance when their partner feels insecure. Someone with secrets turns every question into an attack, every concern into an accusation, and every conversation into a fight. They need you to stop asking questions, so they make asking questions so unpleasant that you eventually give up. The reverse accusation tactic is particularly revealing. When someone responds to, "Are you cheating?" with "Are you cheating?" they're deflecting rather than answering. It's a classic manipulation technique designed to put you on the defensive instead of addressing your concerns.